Sponsored by Black Magic Design, the world's highest quality products for the feature film, post, and broadcast industries. blackmagicdesign.com.
Saturday Night. It's written and directed by Jason Reitman and Gil Keenan, the team that did Ghostbusters Afterlife and Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, I should say. And kind of like with Ghostbusters, there is a lean on nostalgia, but this movie is about literally the 90 minutes that led up to the first Saturday Night Live in 1975. So 90 minutes that lead into 90 minutes. And all of the chaos surrounding this, at the time, countercultural revolutionary show, now in its 50th season with Lorne Michaels still at the head. And this is really about Lorne trying to bring all the disparate pieces together. Lorne is played by Gabriel LaBelle, who was the star of The Fabelmans a couple years ago, and he does a tremendous job, alongside Rachel Sennott, who is becoming very quickly one of my favorite actresses, playing Lorne's ex-wife, Rosie Schuster. The not ready for primetime players are all represented, with varying degrees of verisimilitude in appearance and style, like Corey Michael Smith from he played the Riddler in Gotham. He plays Chevy Chase and he nails it. Ella Hunt, she plays Gilda Radner, and I saw Gilda. Like, she absolutely knocked it out of the park. Lamorne Morris from New Girl plays Garrett Morris, no relation. Absolutely fantastic. Nicholas Braun from Succession plays a double bill of Andy Kaufman and Jim Henson. Matthew Rhys plays George Carlin. Kim Matula does a really fine job as Jane Curtin. Emily Fairn playing Lorraine Newman. Their parts are relatively small. Dylan O'Brien, who's an up-and-comer, he plays Dan Aykroyd, and then Matt Wood plays John Belushi. Everybody is represented here in all of their wackiness. You also have, like, Billy Crystal off in the wings. You have Franken and Davis. You have Tommy Dewey playing the first head writer, Michael O'Donoghue, who was also the first one to ever say a line on the show in the Wolverines opening sketch with Belushi. A lot of these people are either relatively new or still not quite A-listers, but you can recognize them. Like I said, Corey Michael Smith, he was on Gotham, 10 years ago. I don't know why he's not a bigger star. He's a tremendous character actor. And Rachel Sennott, she got her big break with Shiva Baby, and then did Bodies, 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 and she does a podcast with Ayo Edebiri. The film, again, it's very frantic, very frenetic. There's a ton of great camera work. The cinematography is really well done here, following everybody around in these long extended takes around Studio 8H, as everything weird goes on in the background. Stage hands are coming in left, right, and the center. Everything kind of just builds to this whole idea of, can we get the show off the ground? Are we going to even make it to air? Willem Dafoe plays an NBC executive named David Tebbutt, who was responsible for landing Johnny Carson back in the 60s. And he's kind of the boogeyman antagonist with his finger on the button, ready to just toss to a rerun of the previous night's Tonight Show if this doesn't go off. And one of the things that struck me as kind of odd about this film is that this is a Sony production, not a Universal. NBC basically has no real involvement with this, which I think is a good thing because it allows the film to take certain liberties. It allows them to basically make David Tebbutt and Dick Ebersol into villains, which I don't think Universal would let them get away with. It lets us be a lot more adult with the humor, because Catherine Carton plays a network standards and practices center who's redlining the script as we go, but she's so ultra conservative Christian that she doesn't know euphemisms like blue or golden, and all these writers are basically trying to talk in circles around her to try to convince her that, oh no, this is perfectly safe and tame, not going to offend anybody. It makes for some good comedy, especially when Tommy Dewey as Michael O'Donoghue just confronts her directly and just calls her on the nonsense. You got a lot of fun aside. John Batiste, who kind of composed the score for the film, subs in for Billy Preston and gets to perform Nothing from Nothing, which any excuse you can give to have him have screen time, I'm happy with that. Weirdly to me, the least impressive performances are from the biggest name actors. Like I said, I love Willem Dafoe, but he plays David Tebbutt as just a scum sucking executive. Just a money man with indoor sunglasses and a leisure suit. Like he kind of reminds me of Al Pacino's character from Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Just that kind of sleazy money man. It doesn't really. It's not a bad performance by any means, but it's not. There's nothing really for him to work with to do anything beyond the minimum. J.K. Simmons, Academy Award winner J.K. Simmons, plays Milton Berle. His moments are funny, but all I saw was J.K. Simmons doing a Milton Berle impression. Not that that's a bad thing, but again, when you have the likes of Corey Michael Smith and Ella Hunt actually convincing me that they're Chevy Chase and Gilda Radner, J.K. Simmons could only do a vague impression of Uncle Milty. And it's done for the grossest reasons, but I kind of love it. Finn Wolfhard is in this movie. One of the biggest stars of his generation. He plays a page, just an NBC page standing outside handing out the free tickets to the show. It's kind of amazing how much the big stars have almost nothing to do, and these people who are basically trying to prove that they're ready for primetime are playing the not ready for primetime players. I think it's a very interesting juxtaposition. The script plays a lot like Birdman or Aaron Sorkin's Steve Jobs movie. There's a lot of Sorkin-y type dialogue in there, which your mileage may vary. I'm okay with it, especially because it's a little bit riskier. It's a little bit more honest for the era when it comes to drug references and sexual humor. And honestly, let's just call it what it is, sexual harassment. I mean, it was 1975. This kind of stuff was generally allowed. Not that we condone it, not that we approve of it, just it's admitting what's there. The only flaw I really have for the script is that it makes Lorne Michaels almost too much into a doe-eyed wanderer. This is all about him trying to make sure that this project gets over the finish line, gets to air when he's basically set up to fail. How accurate all of that is to the reality of the first episode of SNL, I don't know. I mean, I know that David Tebbutt did not literally have his finger on the button waiting to dump out. That never happened, but it makes for good dramatic tension because we know the show's going to go off. It's been going off for 50 years. I mean, so you have to at least pretend to have a risk in that respect. They played a little bit too safe with Lorne as this, visionary who's just, trying to do a good thing. I think it could have stood to have him be a little bit more raw, a little bit more confrontational, for lack of a better term. But for what it was, I was very pleasantly surprised by it. And again, Gabriel Bell, he made his mark with the Fabelmans, and now he's kind of, in essence, establishing himself more as an adult actor. Like he was an adult when he played, Sammy Fabelman, but he was an adult playing a teenager. Now he's an adult playing an adult. So I think he did a very good job. And again, Sennott, Smith, Hunt, Morris, they absolutely nailed it. And it's that force of personality that they bring to people who are still around. I mean, yeah, some of the actors are dead. Pretty much all the executives are dead. So yeah, like David Tebbutt cannot defend himself against whatever's going on. But among the original cast of the show, everybody but Gilda and Belushi are still around. So they can always raise a stink about this. And I think in that respect, this cast did justice to them. And this script did justice to them. I'm very surprised that NBC and Universal don't seem to have had any direct influence on this. This is very much a Sony production. But if you're gonna do something madcap and zany about the most madcap and zany show in television history, I think this is the way to go about it. I think it was really well done.
It's interesting because I remember George Clooney said that you shouldn't have really famous people playing famous people. And I think this is why. I think the reason that you had better results is because J.K. Simmons. You know what he's like, and maybe they thought, well, we'll just have J.K. Simmons do a Milton Berle impression, and that'll be enough. Like that'll be funny. I haven't seen it. I have mixed feelings about it because I remember a lot of the old Saturday Night Live, and it was kind of a thing that was in reruns that when you grew up, and it just seems weird to see other actors like cosplaying those same people.
I had a similar apprehension because again, all but two of them are still alive. Weird personal anecdote, like for people who get into the television and film industry, this has always kind of been like a dream show. And for me, literally, like I have a recording dream where I'm somehow hosting or in the cast, and I'm backstage waiting for my next cue, waiting for my next sketch, waiting for my next costume change. And now, as a person who works in television, who does behind the scenes stuff, when you see all this madness come together, it hits home. Like I've experienced this stuff firsthand, and that's kind of why I think it informs the recording dream in a weird way. This is probably the most important show in the history of television. For the meta purposes, they definitely understand what goes into a massive production like this. And there's a reason it sustained itself for 5 decades. And I think that understanding overrides the misgivings I had about, playing people who still are on this side of the earth. I can see where people may be apprehensive and may not like it. I can totally understand that, but for me, that's what got it over the top.
This is the BTRP Media Network.